Supply and market equilibrium. So firstly, we should know the meaning of supply. In common language, the amount of some product which is available to customers is called supply, a fundamental economic concept that describes the total amount of a specific good or service that is available to consumers. Supply can relate to the amount available at a specific price or the amount available across a range of prices if displayed on a graph. This relates closely to the demand for a good or service at a specific price. All else being equal, the supply provided by producers will rise if the price rises, because all firms look to maximize profits. Supply represents how much the market can offer. The quantity supplied refers to the amount of a certain good producers are willing to supply when receiving a certain price. The supply schedule, depicted graphically as the supply curve, represents the amount of some goods that producers are willing and able to sell at various prices, assuming all determinants of supply other than the price of the good in question, such as technology and the prices of factors of production, remains the same. After studying this lesson, you should be able to determine the nature of supply, analyze the law of supply, analyze the factors determining supply and shifts in supply curve, understand the concept of equilibrium, understand the concept of price ceiling and price floor. Now we can discuss the law of supply, a microeconomic law stating that all the factors being equal, as the price of a good or service increases, the quantity of goods or services offered by suppliers increases, and vice versa, is called law of supply. The relationship between price and quantity supplied is usually a positive relationship. A rise in price is associated with a rise in quantity supplied. As firms produce more output, their total costs rise proportionately faster. The law of supply can be expressed mathematically in functional form as QS equals to F, price, other factors held constant. Supply also leads to shifts in its curve called increase in supply, decrease in supply. A change in supply will lead to a shift in the supply curve, which will cause an imbalance in the market that is corrected by changing prices and demand. If the change in supply increases supply, you will see the supply curve shift to the right, while a decrease in supply from a change in supply will shift the supply curve left. For example, if there is a new technology that makes the production of DVD players a lot cheaper, according to the law of supply, there will be an increase in the output of DVD players. With more outputs in the market, the price of DVD players will likely fall, creating greater demand in the marketplace and more overall sales of DVD players. A change in supply, a shift in the supply curve, occurs whenever the some factor that affects the supply of the goods other than its price changes. Such variables include prices of productive resources. A rise or fall in the prices of resources shifts the supply curve leftward or rightward. A change in technology which lowers cost will shift the supply curve rightward. An increase or decrease in the number of suppliers shifts the supply curve rightward or leftward. Prices of other goods produced which have two possible relationships. When the price of a substitute in production rises or falls, the supply curve for the good shifts leftward or rightward. A rise or fall in the price of a complement in production shifts the supply curve rightward or leftward. If the expected future price of the product rises or falls, the supply curve in the present period shifts leftward or rightward. Now, things to remember when considering a supply curve are: a supply curve follows the law of supply. When the price of a commodity increases, the quantity supplied increases and vice versa. The horizontal axis, quantity, has a time dimension. The quantities are of the same quality. The vertical axis, price, is a relative price. The curve assumes everything else is constant. Effects of price changes are shown by movements along the supply curve. Effects of non-price determinants of supply are shown by shifts of the entire supply curve. After discussing law of demand and law of supply, now we are in a stage to discuss equilibrium. The market equilibrium condition determines the quantity of each good the individual consumer will demand and the quantity of each good supplied by individual producer. When supply and demand are equal, that is, when the supply function and demand functions intersect, the market is said to be at an equilibrium. At this point, the allocation of goods is at its most efficient because the amount of goods being supplied is exactly the same as the amount of goods being demanded. Thus, everyone, individuals, firms, or countries, is satisfied with the current economic condition. At the given price, suppliers are selling all the goods that they have produced and consumers are getting all the goods that they are demanding. As you can see on the chart, equilibrium occurs at the intersection of the demand and supply curve, which indicates no allocative inefficiency. At this point, the price of the goods will be P and the quantity will be Q. These figures are referred to as equilibrium price and quantity. In the real marketplace, equilibrium can only ever be reached in theory, so the prices of goods and services are constantly changing in relation to fluctuations in demand and supply. The situation doesn't always remain in equilibrium but also changes to disequilibrium, which can be discussed now. Disequilibrium occurs whenever the price or quantity is not equal to P or Q. It may occur because of two reasons: excess supply, excess demand. Excess supply. If the price is set too high, excess supply will be created within the economy and there will be allocated inefficiency. At price P1, the quantity of goods that the producers wish to supply is indicated by Q2. At P1, however, the quantity that the consumers want to consume is at Q1, a quantity much less than Q2. Because Q2 is greater than Q1, too much is being produced and too little is being consumed. The suppliers are trying to produce more goods which they hope to sell to increase profits, but those consuming the goods will find the product less attractive and purchase less because the price is too high. Excess demand. Excess demand is created when price is set below the equilibrium price. Because the price is so low, too many consumers want the goods while producers are not making enough of it. In this situation, at price P1, the quantity of goods demanded by consumers at this price is Q2. Conversely, the quantity of goods that producers are willing to produce at this price is Q1. Thus, there are too few goods being produced to satisfy the wants or demands of the consumers. However, as the consumers have to compete with one another to buy the goods at this price, the demand will push the price up, making suppliers want to supply more and bringing the price closer to equilibrium. Like a movement along the demand curve, a movement along the supply curve means that the supply relationship remains consistent. Therefore, a movement along the supply curve will occur when the price of the good changes and the quantity supplied changes in accordance to the original supply relationship. In other words, a movement occurs when a change in quantity supplied is caused only by a change in price and vice versa. The last topic for discussion is price ceiling and price floor. A price ceiling is a government-imposed limit on the price charged for a product. Governments intend price ceilings to protect consumers from conditions that could make necessary commodities unattainable. However, a price ceiling can cause problems if imposed for a long period without controlled rationing. A price floor is a government or group-imposed limit on how low a price can be charged for a product. For a price floor to be effective, it must be greater than the equilibrium price. A price floor exists when the price is artificially held above the equilibrium price and is not allowed to fall. There are many examples of price floors. In some cases, private businessmen maintain the price floor, while in other cases it's the government that maintains the price floor. If the price ceiling is above the market price, then there is no direct effect. If the price ceiling is set below the market price, then a shortage is created. The quantity demanded will exceed the quantity supplied. The shortage may be resolved in many ways. One way is queuing. People have to wait in line for the product, and only those willing to wait in line for the product will actually get it. Now let us check if we have understood the various concepts discussed in this lesson clearly. Equilibrium is a situation where supply and demand for a particular product are equal to each other. Right or wrong? Right. Increase in supply leads to leftward shifting of supply curve. Right or wrong? Wrong. Supply and price have positive relation with each other. Right or wrong? Right. Price ceiling is the high limit on the price charged for a product. Right or wrong? Right. Let's revise. Supply is the willingness and ability of producers to make a specific quantity of output available to consumers at a particular price over a given period of time. According to the law of supply, more of a good will be supplied the higher its price. Other things constant, or less of a good will be supplied the lower its price, other things remaining constant. Other than price, the other determinants of the supply are money cost of production, interrelated supply, and other factors like weather, natural disasters, tax subsidies, etc. Price is determined by the two forces of demand and supply. In a free market, a point of balance where demand equals supply is known as market equilibrium. Once the price reaches equilibrium, it remains there until something disturbs the equilibrium. A price ceiling occurs when the price is artificially held below the equilibrium price and is not allowed to rise. A price floor exists when the price is artificially held above the equilibrium price and is not allowed to fall.